Joining us now, brand new head coach, relatively speaking, of the Miami Dolphins, by way of the Green Bay Packers. It just passed by Ben Johnson back there, but it wasn't as good as if it would have been Matt LaFleur. Jeff Hafley joining us. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks
Hey, I got to tell you, you bet on yourself 2 years ago. I remember reading that the guy who's the head coach at Boston College, major college program, he's leaving to become an assistant coach of an NFL team. And I think that surprised a lot of people. But you must have had an idea this is the path to become a head coach in the NFL level. And it only took 2 years. So congratulations. You placed a bet on yourself, and it paid off pretty quickly.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. Hard decision. You know, I really love those players. My wife and I we were there for 4 years. We love living there. We love the community. We love the school. But I've mentioned it before. I wasn't coaching football anymore. And I wanted to be a head coach. But I wanted to be a head coach that coached football. So the only way really that I felt like I could do that was if I took a shot, went back to the NFL, and spent some time and played good defense and had a chance to be an NFL head coach. So when Matt called, I said, I think we could do this if we go to Green Bay. Didn't think it would happen that quick, but 2 years later, crazy. 2 years later, it did work. So I'm very fortunate, and I'm grateful for Matt for giving me the opportunity.
And I assume you're referring to just the chaos in college football with NIL and transfer portal, and it's just not the way it used to be anymore, and you are spending time doing a lot of things other than coaching your team.
Yeah. You know, when I left the 49ers, I was with Kyle and those guys in the 49ers for their first 3 years, and I went to Ohio State to be the coordinator, and none of that had hit yet, and it was great. I mean, it was pure college football the way we remember it. I mean, and it was awesome. Same thing with my first 2 years at Boston College. I mean, it was just a bunch of tough guys who loved football, went to class, did everything right, and it was just coaching football. But then all of a sudden, it became crazy, and there was just a lot of things that I was doing that had nothing to do with anything that I ever dreamed of doing, and I really started not liking that job. You know, so there's people that like it, right? There's people that love it, and I respect it, and that is what it is right now in college football. I just hope that they can do something to clean it up a little bit.
So the window opened for you to go from Boston College to Green Bay. And then after 2 years, the window opens for NFL head coaching opportunities. How do you decide the right window to go through? What made the Dolphins the right pick for you now? Because we've seen guys wait. Just talk to Ben Johnson. He waited. Mm-hmm. What made now the right time and Miami the right place?
The alignment, ownership. You know, I went on shortly after that playoff game. I had 6 interviews, and I think it was 5 days. And, you know, I was in the NFL for a while leading up to my leave to go to Ohio State. And I'd been in some organizations where it just didn't work. No matter what we did, the alignment between GM, head coach, ownership, it wasn't going to work. And then when I got to San Francisco and I saw Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and at the time Adam Peters was there, I said, this is going to work. And we started off 0-9, and it was hard early, but then 3 years later, Super Bowl and all the success that they've had. Obviously, Kyle's great and John's great. So I always thought about alignment. And if I ever got a chance to do this, and in a perfect world, could I align myself with someone where we shared a vision, and could we go in at the same time? So John, Eric, and I were together for those 2 years in Green Bay, and we instantly hit it off. And not in a way where it was like, hey, you want to go out and have a beer and hang out? And we didn't do that. It was in the office, and it was, you know, hey, what do you think about how we played on defense today? What did you see big picture-wise? Let me know. And then in the draft, it was, you know, I ranked this guy really high and be like, I don't agree with you. And we had really, really cool conversations. So we started talking about, imagine we ever got a chance to do this together. And when he got the job in Miami, and then I interviewed with Miami, that alignment felt very powerful for me, and it's one that I didn't want to pass up.
Do you remember the specific moment that caused you to think, man, we could be a good team?
I don't know if there was a moment, but maybe I do. It was in the afternoons, year 2 in Green Bay, he would text me and say, hey, are you done for the day? And we would sit down for hours, and we would just turn on film, draft tape, and he'd ask me what I saw, and I'd ask him what him saw. And it was in those moments that I think we really clicked, because what happened is we felt comfortable to disagree with each other and come to a conclusion that we both felt good about. And I think that's probably more rare than people think in this profession, but it was probably in those moments that we realized it, where during the season, like I said, I mean, after games, I would text him and be like, hey, let me know what you think about how we played, how certain people played, and I never took any offense when he kind of, had some things he thought weren't good enough. I was like, all right, great, I'm going to work on that. So I think there was a lot of mutual respect there.
And, I've been doing this 25 years. I could give you 50 examples of situations where the GM brings in a player, the coach didn't really want him, the coach doesn't play him, there's friction between the coach and the GM. From your perspective, you guys are going to be fully aligned. He's going to bring in the players you want. You're going to play the players he brings in, and you have that 100% same page alignment that you've seen work elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is going to be the communication aspect of it. And I think that's also sometimes people don't realize. Sometimes there really isn't a lot of great communication. Our setup's a little different. A lot of times you have an upstairs and a downstairs, as you know. Our offices are next to each other. So there's constant communication, right? And at the end of the day, are we going to disagree on some stuff? For sure. But I think we're going to be able to work through it, right? And and come together and really work towards the same vision. And that's really what I'm most excited about.
Give me the best thing you learned from your 2 years with Matt LaFleur that prepares you for the job you now have.
Yeah, Matt did such an unbelievable job of really setting a standard and holding everybody to that standard. And I mean everybody, coaches and players, kind of very similar to what Kyle did. And he has core beliefs that he believes in, and he's not going to stray from them. He's not. So he's able to treat the players really well and the coaches really well. But when it's time to work, there's a standard, and there's nothing that he walks by. And I have a ton of respect for him and the way he's done that, and really all the success that he's had in the league.
Given the job you had in Green Bay, running the defense, what was the specific impact of adding Micah Parsons?
Huge impact. A little challenging at first because we went from, a year before we had TJ Slayton, Kenny Clark, so you got two big guys on the inside, right? And then we lose TJ Slayton to free agency, but we got Kenny Clark. So as we built all throughout training camp and OTAs, we're building with Kenny Clark and different players. Well, then you lose Kenny and you add Micah, right? And Kenny's phenomenal. Kenny, I'm sure you've talked to him before. Kenny's one of the best pros that there is, and he's an unbelievable player. So in one aspect, it's really hard to see a guy like Kenny go, but in walks Micah Parsons, who is one of the best football players I've ever been around, and also an unbelievable guy, smart. I mean, the conversations that we would have and talk about pass rush, and even in the run game, people said he couldn't play the run. You challenge him to play the run, turn on the tape, he played the run pretty well. But huge impact, not only on the field, but as he got to know the team and the players, the energy that he brought to practice, the energy and enthusiasm that he brought to the meeting rooms, because he's one of the most competitive guys that you're ever going to be around. So clearly it was a great decision by Goody and Matt, and unfortunately he got injured, but knowing him, he'll be back before everybody says it. Hopefully we'll play him early, and maybe Mike will have to miss that game.
You talked about alignment with John Eric Sullivan, and he was asked earlier today about Tua. I'm sure you've been asked about Tua as well. Just so I hear it from you, because I know what he said. I don't know what you said over there, but for these purposes, where do things stand, and when is the timeline to make a decision?
Yeah, I think everything's on the table. Tua's
you are in alignment with John Eric Sullivan. He said the exact same thing.
We have to be alignment on that one, or I'd get yelled at. I mean, so it's, let me not pretend that I wasn't prepared by Ann over there to answer that question. And but what can I tell you is we are aligned on it. We've had a lot of conversations about it. Tua was in my office. I had a great conversation with Tua. I mean, and he's an awesome guy. So, whenever John Eric decides to make that decision, I'm sure he will. But there's a lot of decisions to make. I mean, we have 30 free agents. So this roster, what it looks like today, even going into the first OTA, is going to look a lot different.
The Packers hosted the Dolphins Thanksgiving 2024. Mm-hmm. After that game, Jordan Brooks, one of the captains this past year on the Dolphins, said that the team was soft. That perception's out there. Perception becomes reality. What is your plan for changing that narrative?
Yeah, I mean, when I hear that, if that doesn't just eat at you from the inside out when you hear that, then you're the wrong guy. And it eats at Jordan Brooks, just me getting to know him, probably as much as it does with me. We need to bring in guys that feel the same exact way. And that's part of the reason why I love this job, because as we build our foundation and the roster will look different, we have got to bring in guys that when they hear that, it bothers them as much as it bothers me. And then we have to put this team in difficult situations Because here's whether it's 110 degrees or whether it's minus 15 in Green Bay, I think our jobs as coaches is to find out who's going to crack in the fourth quarter of a game before we ever step into the stadium. And I think that's what this next 5 months is going to be all about.
How do you find that out, though? Because we all know it feels different when it's cold. How can you project when you're practicing in Miami? Do you turn the air conditioning all the way up? How do you figure out who is going to crack when it's cold?
You figure out, guys are going to crack, the same guys are going to crack when it's 115 degrees and we're practicing at noon on training camp to see how much that we can take, right? I can't turn the indoor into a freezer and all of a sudden, see who can handle it when it's cold.
Going to the meat locker.
The ribs and stuff. Yeah, and then I'll probably get in trouble. I'll be getting called in by somebody to yell at me for hitting raw meat. But I do like your idea, and I'm a huge Rocky fan. But I think it's bigger than that. I think it's bigger than just the cold. I think it's bigger than just the heat. It's what's your mindset. It's how much can you take up here and what do you have in here? And we need to find those guys. And we have some of them right now. So this isn't me saying we're going to wipe this thing clean.
Right. Jordan Brooks is one of them.
Exactly. And there's more guys like that. So we have pieces in place as we build this foundation, but we have got to add the right type of guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Last question, and this is kind of tongue-in-cheek, but one way to transform the perception, get Stephen Ross to make the throwback uniforms the permanent uniforms. Dan Marino's with me on that.
I love Dan too. I'm not.
The throwback uniforms exude what you're talking about. That's just my take. Take it under advisement. Think about it. I think Stephen really likes the current uniform. Somebody's going to have to work on him. But the old ones, man, they convey the toughness of the Dolphins name.
I'm sure he'll hear that. So maybe.
All right. Well, no, if he hears it from me, he'll do the opposite. He needs to hear it from you. Jeff Hafley, new head coach of the Miami Dolphins. We'll be back with plenty more from the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.